Welcome to Your Time, Your Money with the Esley Group. We're excited to have you today. We still are fighting the fight for live callers, but we have two of the best looking advisors in the office with us here today. Obviously, I'm the best looking, and these are my squad right here. I bring them with me everywhere. It's wonderful. But in all honesty, today we're talking a little bit about divorce. And the reason we're doing that is both Justin and Adam have recently had clients deal with loss. You know, they've lost a spouse because of divorced a spouse. And we're going to kind of delve into some very generic
relationship loss.
Right, the relationship loss, which, you know, guys, at the end of the day, it really hurts, you know, like it's a financial reset. It's a mental, it's an emotional reset. Sometimes you're moving. There's a lot of pain to it. And, you know, I think it's important that our listeners know that we have resources for them to dig into and use if they have this situation happen. So we'll get right to work. This will be a burst session. Again, welcome to Your Time, Your Money. So Justin, I want you to start right off with the person that you work with, and I think it's really important because I want to set that standard for having a person in our back pocket that we trust and we rely on. So who is the person that you work with?
Yes, so I have
for your group.
Pretty great relationship with Carolyn D'Agostino over at the Wagner Law Firm up in Clifton Park. She actually just recently did a little bit of a merger. She was kind of solo for a while. Did a little bit of a merger with the Wagner Law Firm. And located up at 634 Plank Road, number 102 in Clifton Park, New York, 12065. You can reach her at 518-982-5229. But she's been awesome. She's been able to really put things into perspective for clients, especially when they go through something this difficult, because nobody ever wants to, deal with either a loss of a loved one in a death situation or, a loss of a loved one in a divorce situation. Yeah.
And sometimes, as it comes to divorce, death might be better, right? but it does happen, and you just got it. Whoa, Adam just got it. No, but at the end of the day, guys, we build resources, and we've done this with CPAs, with attorneys. So I'll kind of delve in right away because I've had it happen. What happens if? And we had a question. We've had these questions come in, and so we're going to paraphrase and change some names. But basically, the first question we got was, "What can I expect of my spouse's 401k if I get divorced?" Right there, 401k, 403b, SEP IRA,
non-retirement accounts.
Yeah. But I mean, that was like the basis of the question was, my spouse has investment dollars, I have investment dollars. What is the expectation? And I'll lead off with this. The more conversations and the deeper you go down this fighting rabbit hole, the more you're going to lose, because of the fact that you're going to ask lawyers to send emails, and there's going to be more charges and more costs. Sometimes the best course is mediation, right? And we go through the process together with an attorney, and we try to find common ground. But if there's no common ground to be found, a lot of it depends on the time you were married and how much asset was built up during the time you were married.
The situation could be different too, where one spouse has been the
primary breadwinner, right?
And the other one doesn't or hasn't, or as you said, in some cases so someone has all the accounts,
right,
and the other person has nothing.
Well, so let's do the scenario where, in this case, the person emailed in. I believe they were the at home parent, and then the other parent was working. So in that case, from the date of the marriage to the date of the divorce, whatever assets were built up in the retirement account or the investment account, usually it's going to go based from the start date until the divorce date. Right. How much was built up divided by 2, right? And that's very important for people to understand, is that just because you were with somebody prior to marriage doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a piece of that asset.
Right.
Right. And this also, let's add in the sale of a home.
Yep.
Right? Like how much the home is worth. So really it's kind of a tough question to put a finger on, but let's say I got divorced after 30 years, and I started with my balance of $100,000, and after 30 years my balance is $500,000. Well, the account grew by $400,000, so then I would owe my spouse $200,000 from that particular account. And that's a really basic, simple, easy question, but boy, it gets really complicated, because now, what did my spouse have? Did she have an account that I have to split in half? Or more importantly, did she have a pension that I had to split in half? right?
And a lot of this too is, and again, always consult your attorney on this.
100%.
Of course. But a lot of this too is it might be an amicable divorce where
mediation,
they
right?
say, okay, you know what, you earned that, so you keep that, and I'm going to take what I earned, and we're good.
Yeah.
And then there's other ones, of course, where people don't get along, and they do want, I want that, I want a piece of that, and or it's a need factor.
Oh yeah.
They need to have that income.
Well, especially if
because,
someone's not working.
Right.
If they don't have an income, well, I
Right.
absolutely need this
Right.
amount of asset to live on, or
Yeah.
or to at least sustain my particular situation. But I mean, and again, we can go down this rabbit hole: collectibles, vintage vehicles,
Sure.
boats. Right? You always hear the story, right? Someone sawed their boat in half, right? Like, you get that, you get the front, I get the back. But I think to Adam's point, make sure you're working with an attorney that is good at what they do, and make sure you represent yourself. Because if you don't, it could lead to a lot of problems. And I've heard it more often than not, and I'll pass it to you here, Justin. But I hear the same thing from spouses, man or woman, it doesn't matter. I just gave up. I didn't care. And I just kind of threw the towel in, and now it resulted in a really bad sequence of events.
Right.
So don't do that. Talk with your advisor, talk with your attorney. Make sure you get a good grip on where you lie as it comes to the situation.
Yep.
Because every situation is different. So that's a good starting point, Justin. I'm going to let you take over on the Social Security piece.
Yep.
And I think it's important our listeners understand what your credentials are there. I think it has a bearing, right? Like,
So one of the awesome things about the way that I actually met Carolyn was I actually met Carolyn from a Social Security and asset protection planning seminar that I did jointly with Lou Piero up at Piero Law Firm there.
Okay.
So I actually met her at a Social Security seminar, which was great. So
were you running the seminar?
I was running the seminar, obviously with the SE Group.
Oh, very nice.
So one of the very popular topics, statistically, unfortunately, it seems that the rate of divorce is going up.
The rate of 50%,
so
right?
it's about 50%
all marriages
right now, which is terrible to think of. But the question then surrounding Social Security and what happens becomes a major topic. So what I've been finding is that a lot of people don't necessarily understand exactly how the relationship between how long you've been married for versus who you can claim benefits on or through. So
there's a timeline.
There is. So
Okay.
So it's 10 years.
Okay.
And the funny thing
married,
is,
married minimum of 10.
Minimum of 10 years.
Actually married for 10 years.
So the funny
That's a long time.
funny thing is that there's actually been situations where if one individual has been married for multiple 10-year stretches
to different people. Okay.
Those let's say there's one man who was married to 3 different women for each 10 years.
Okay.
Those 3 different women can then potentially claim a divorced spousal benefit off of his work
On
record.
Social Security.
Yes, through Social
guess-
Security.
And not in combination with their own.
not in combination,
But
yes.
if it's a
But
higher.
Yep.
So this is where probably get a lot of questions here, and it's like, oh, well, that must really hammer him, right? Like, he must lose all of his benefit.
Doesn't literally, they don't, first of all, the person, he wouldn't even know. And it doesn't affect his benefit whatsoever.
So when can first of all? So let's go back. Let's pretend this man was married to three separate people, 3 separate women, right? Because ultimately men can get married to men, women can get married to women. It doesn't matter, right? That this person was married to these 3 separate people, right? At the end of the day, when can those people start to file? When can they start to take money
So they can do it
from Social Security?
They can do it at 62.
Okay.
But that's going to be a reduction in the benefit. And I don't want to get there's another Social Security podcast that's out there that goes a little bit more in depth.
You did that one too, right?
I did with another member of our team, Mark. So if you want to get into the nitty gritty, then go view that one. But essentially speaking, the divorced spousal benefit works a lot like the regular spousal benefit. You're going to see which is higher, either 50% of the spouse's primary insurance amount or yours.
Okay.
Right? If yours is higher than 50% of theirs at full retirement age, then you're going to stick with your own benefit.
Gotcha.
But the one thing that we had talked about, Adam, a little bit beforehand.
Well, the question came in: what if someone dies? Right.
Yep. Exactly.
So what was the actual question?
So the question was, is that if somebody is collecting a divorced spousal benefit, what then happens if the ex-spouse passes away?
Gotcha.
So what happens is that in that specific type of a scenario, they would then switch over to a divorced survivor benefit, which works very much just like a normal survivor benefit would, where they would get the higher benefit at this point in time.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a tricky one because, I mean, how often would that happen where, you're divorced, you're in Social Security mode, and then your spouse passes?
Yep.
Right?
It could happen all the time.
This too is if they remain single, correct? Because
Yep.
if they get remarried,
Yep.
then
Yeah.
it's kind of
So it's
you
a
can't
little
access it.
it's a little a
There's
standing joke.
A lot of details. On that.
I love you. I just don't love you enough to lose my ex's Social Security benefit.
Yeah.
We'll get married on a beach, but we will file the paperwork.
Yeah. So that's just the one caveat, right? So if you're divorced and currently collecting divorced spousal benefit,
Okay.
right? If the ex-spouse passes away, you actually move up to 100% of the ex's primary insurance amount instead of the 50%.
Oh, okay. That's a great. I think that's a great narrative, Justin, for people out there that are divorced or are getting divorced, and they're in their 50s.
It's very important.
And they don't know.
Right.
They don't know what to expect. Oh my God, am I going to blow up my retirement and not have Social Security benefit, or not get my ex's Social Security benefit because I'm getting divorced?
And we've during seminars, I know you've seen this where you actually talk about the divorce aspect of Social Security, and half the room of a seminar will go,
Oh wow!
Exactly.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
It's
Did you know that?
Did you know that? Oh my gosh! But yeah, that's again, education is key, and
Yep.
that's why we're here. But
Yep.
so anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I think it's a good. I'm going to let Adam. You're going to field the third
Yeah.
question because so preface this with what happened though. I think
Sure.
it's important for people to know.
So first of all, as part of we kind of going back to the first question is what happens to my retirement accounts.
Right.
Often what happens is what's called a qualified domestic relations order, the QDRO. What's important is that your attorney understands where the funds are currently held and the complications that may come about because of where those funds are held. Now, various fund companies out there. Some companies are great and refer to it as it's not our money, it's the client's money. So they work in the best interest of the client. And unfortunately, there are fund companies out there that look, kind of have more of an attitude of, well, we're going to make it as difficult as possible to get the clients their funds.
Let's get in, dude. Give me the real world. Right. So let's not talk about the person, right? But just give me a real world scenario.
Yeah.
I just got divorced.
Yeah.
And my money is sitting at company X.
Yeah.
And I don't have a good QDRO.
Sure. So
what happens to me?
So in a very real world situation, the couple that were getting divorced, the client that had not my client but her spouse has had funds at a very particular institution.
Okay.
Which really helped to complicate how the QDRO would work.
Okay.
All right. And they sourced out to an attorney that specializes in QDROs, and then decided not to retain those services. And ultimately, it hurt the client, complicating the process moving forward because the attorney that didn't really know QDROs was saying, "Oh, okay, well, I'll just do this myself," rather than relying on the expert. In that situation.
A person that is more apt of QDROs.
Correct.
We can't say expert, right? We can't say specialist,
right.
but the person that does them all the time.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So then what happens to the dollars?
It just ends up being very complicated for the client who for the client who's having to deal with now. If they're trying to move on with their life,
and they can't.
Now they're stuck. Or it's stuck for another X amount of time, another 6 months, another year, et cetera, as things get.
And so the dollars are one thing, but the emotional side, right?
Sure.
I've gotten divorced. My income has changed. My life has changed. I'm in complete upheaval.
Yeah. Why can't I move forward?
And I can't move my money.
I can't move forward. Yes.
So there's definitely some frustration points, and guys, everyone out there that listen, we are trying to make sure you're educated and you have resources, right? And nothing's perfect. No scenario is going to work out the same. But if you have a resource in Justin for Social Security, if you have a resource in Adam for the fact that he's been through this before and he has a great QDRO attorney, I've been through the Mazakis formula, right, with people from New York State. Where they have to give out a portion of their pension,
right?
Making sure that's done appropriately is critical. Because if that gets screwed up and something happens, you have zero ability to go back and change it. Once it's in writing, oh my God, it's so hard to change and go back in time.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things too is seeking out a professional, right?
Yes.
I always say, especially with Social Security,
just find the person.
Especially with Social Security, your friends are not experts.
Right.
Everyone's got an opinion though,
The water cooler.
Oh, the water cooler.
And so being able to seek out a professional that understands and knows how to do all of this stuff is extremely important.
Yep.
And then just one more quick side note on the Social Security piece is that I just don't want people to get confused where I'm saying 50% versus 100% and so on and so forth, because everything is dependent on when you are claiming and when your spouse or ex-spouse claimed. Right. So that's why I said you need to kind of, it's nothing works in a bubble, but if you're full retirement age, those are the numbers that you're looking at.
If someone is stressing out about Social Security, call Justin. When I have a Social Security question, what do? I'm not going to go chase it down. I'm going to say, Justin is the person that can give me the best clarity on the Social. Listen, I don't deal with Social Security every single day. I'm 40 years old. I don't know it like the back of my hand. He deals with it every single day. So if I have a Social Security question, what do? I don't pretend I'm an expert. What do? Hey, Justin, I got a question for you. I take 5 minutes of his time. Vis-a-vis.
We do that with clients all the time.
If Justin has a 403B question, what's he going to do? He's going to call me. Say, hey, Maddie, what do we do? What is the plan? Who is the TPA? Right? Like that is why, guys, we make a great team. And we rely on each other, and we rely on the people that are in our network to perform for our clients. So really great session today. You can find us at the Esley Group. It's at terrais.com. You can send us an email. Send your questions in. We've gotten a couple great ones. Really excited to answer those questions. I mean, this is a 15-minute session, and I think we've answered more questions now than ever before. You can also reach us at 844-444-YTYM. Matt Byers is standing by for your call. He is literally by the phone waiting to pick up. And, as people watch these shows, understand we have a network of 11 people that can be there for you and give you a great experience. And also you can find us at theesleygroup.com. Please be sure to like, subscribe, share. We just did the great Your Coach, Your Money with David Tyree, the helmet catch. That was amazing. Very, very good time. But as always, thank you for joining us. It's your time and your money.